Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 118 of Coach Bennett's podcast. This one is tentatively titled Better Fall Running, but I'm just saying it may show up as Better Autumn Running, because what I'm going to do when this is done is try to figure out which word is used more globally. Is it fall or is it autumn? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And, I spend entirely too much time concerned about these types of things, but that's what I do. I'm going to be just thinking about it the second that I'm done editing this, like, okay, better fall running, better autumn running, better fall running, better autumn running. And then I'm going to start thinking, like, which one kind of slides off the tongue a little bit easier. And then I'm going to question myself. I'm like, is it about what's easier? No, coach, it's about what's better. But sometimes what's easier is what's better, but sometimes what's harder is what's better. So I don't know. Do you care? I would imagine that you don't. You see, most behind the scenes stuff is interesting. And I would say that this BTS is failing in that regard. It's not interesting at all. So we should probably just get right into this, shouldn't we? I mean, the answer is yes, we should. And the point is, this is going to be a podcast about how to have better runs during the autumn/fall, right? I mean, that's what the whole point is. So I'm going to give you some tips. No, I don't think any of this is groundbreaking. I don't think any of this is really new. But that's how it is with great tips. They last. They have no expiration date. They just keep on keeping on. And I think that's a sign of a really great tip is, has it lasted? Is it something you're like, oh yeah, that's, a coach used to tell me to do that, and everyone at the table is like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So much has changed. Well, most of this stuff is going to be around for a long, long time, if not all of it. So, all right, let's jump right into it. Oh, and no, actually, before we jump right into it, let me just say this. Fully aware that when this comes out, it's not the same kind of fall or autumn for everybody. In fact, it's just not fall for some people. I mean, we live on a big, badass space rock, and that means that the situation, the weather, how much sunlight you're getting at a given time of year is not the same everywhere. I know that's a Captain Obvious thing to say, but let me also say this. If you're living in an area that's not experiencing some of the things I'm talking about, guess what? At some point, you may be living in an area, or the area you're living in will go through some of these changes, and you can take advantage of this, which is why, I tell people, when they say what are some like good runs to run if they want to get more educated about the sport of running. And sometimes I'll say, ooh, what's a good one? A hot run. And they're like, oh, I know, but it's January here in Minnesota. And I say, yeah, but you still can learn about how to run a better hot run during the winter in Minnesota. Like, you don't have to be in the midst of a heat wave to learn how to run during a heat wave. In fact, the best time to learn how to do a hot run is before you need to do a hot run. So that's just my little sidebar here that I wanted to throw out there, that if you're not going through some of these things I'm talking about, well, okay, it's still a worthy listen. I'll give you an example. The example isn't really an example. It's just actually one of the first tips, which is making sure you got your shine on. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you're dealing with the shift from summer to fall in North America, for instance, and we'll just make it very local. Here in the Pacific Northwest, there are a few changes that occur between summertime and autumn. in the Pacific Northwest. One is we start to lose sunlight. Every single day, we just get less and less sunlight. And it seems to speed up as we get into September and October. And I know it's not speeding up, but it seems like it's speeding up because coinciding with this, there's a weather change. We're getting less and less blue sky days and more cloudy days. And those cloudy days eventually turn into rainy days. So it seems like we're getting less sunlight because we are getting less sunlight. And it seems like it's getting darker and darker, earlier and earlier. And that's not the sun's fault. It's just that the sun is being blocked and we're getting darker clouds. And suddenly where we were running at 8:30 p.m., now it's starting to shift to 7:30 and 6:30 and 5:30. And then, of course, we change the clocks. And then suddenly, it seems like it's getting dark super early, crazy early. So when I say get your shine on, well, I mean a couple of things here. I'm talking about you wearing reflective gear, all right? Super important. And it's super important for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it gets you in the habit of thinking about safety first. So when you're looking for what to wear, in the summertime, a lot of times it's, well, what's most comfortable? Which, yes, absolutely, you want to be wearing stuff that's comfortable. That's, at least for me, when I'm thinking about what to wear in the summer, I'm thinking of, light-colored shirts, probably dry fit, they're sweat wicking. That's what I'm thinking about. In the fall and autumn, I'm thinking about safety first. And maybe I should be thinking about safety first in the summer. I think you should be thinking about safety first all the time. It just seems like it's more front and center for me in the fall and in the winter. And one of the first things I think about is I want to make sure that if there is not much light that I'm running in, now there may be a little bit of sunlight, or I may be running in the dark. It may be a situation where, by 4 p.m., it's getting kind of sort of dark where I'm running. I want to make sure that people see me. I want to make sure other runners see me. I want to make sure cyclists see me. I want to make sure people driving cars see me. And what that means is I have to be wearing reflective gear. Now, also, I think about where exactly on this shirt, on these pants, on these shoes is this reflective gear. Where on my jacket is the reflective gear? And I'll tell you why I think about that. Because I know if I have a stripe down my back that's reflective, it looks really cool. Don't get me wrong, looks super cool. I love it. Now, if I'm a car and I see a stripe, well, that could be a mailbox. I need to see some movement, and my back does very little movement. So what I want is not just a big reflective piece somewhere that's noticeable, that draws attention to it. I also want some reflective gear on the parts of my body that are moving, that are swinging. I'm thinking my wrists, my arms, my ankles especially. What that's going to do for that person on a bike, driving a car, when they look ahead and they see something reflective, they're going to go, there's something up ahead that has a reflective piece of material on it. That's going to shift from an inanimate object to an animate object when they say, wow, look at all that movement. Those are arms and legs that are moving. That's a person running. Now I have to make sure I am aware of this person running. That's the type of attention I want as a runner from someone driving. That's the type of attention I want from another runner or cyclist. You want as many people that are out there to know that you are out there and you're running. So make sure you have what you need. Now, there are lots of things you can do to make material that maybe doesn't have reflective qualities to it reflective. You can buy wristbands and ankle bands that are reflective. You can buy hats that have reflective aspects to it. And if it is getting dark, you're going to want to invest in a running lamp, something that you put on your head. You know what I mean? I think the biggest struggle people have sometimes is they think this is overkill. They're like, oh, geez, I don't run that much. You don't need to run that much, whatever that much means, to deserve to be safe. And that's what these things are doing. They're giving you increased safety. You're investing in your own safety. And I'll tell you what, the other thing you're doing is you're letting the people in your life around you know that investing in your own safety is important. So this isn't a tip. This is a rule. If you're going to be running in an environment that is low on natural light or artificial light, you need to have reflective qualities on what you're wearing. All right? So yes, you want everything that you wear to be comfortable, because when you're most comfortable, you're going to run your best. But remember, you're most comfortable when you're confident, when you're at ease, when you feel safe. And you will feel safer knowing that the other people on the roads and trails that you're sharing those roads and trails with see you, know you're there, and can make the proper adjustments to their course so you can both be safe. Okay? So that's number one. All right. The other thing is there's an adjustment, and again, this is we're now like going. I have no order for this. I'm just talking right now. So the first thing that came into my head was school, and that's probably because I'm recording this right now as school buses are driving all over the place. When I was coaching high school, when we would come back in September, I would always tell the athletes, like, look, we're just going to feel terrible for a month. And I there's really nothing I can do about it. We're going to just be tired, regardless of how hard we train. And I'll just let you know, we wouldn't really increase the training any more than we had to. We weren't trying to push hard. In fact, I mean, this may be getting too into the weeds here. I always looked to October as the month that we really wanted to push. We were going to be tired because of the training. In September, a lot of the reason why we were so fatigued was because of the lifestyle change. We went from summer break to school, and just a shift in schedule is going to lead to an element of fatigue as your body adjusts from doing things in one way over one time period in certain time allotments during the summer. Like maybe you have the ability to wake up a little bit later. Maybe you have the ability to choose when you're having breakfast or lunch. Maybe you have the ability to relax and take some breaks during the day. When you get to school, you are on a set schedule. You're waking up at a certain time early every single morning, Monday through Friday. You're going through classes, which again are taxing. You have to pay attention. You have to focus. You have to engage. You're also moving around throughout the day on, again, a set schedule. You're not eating when you want to eat. You're eating when you're being told you can eat, and that changes throughout the day. So yes, there's a consistency to going to school every day, but there's not a consistency in when you can eat every day. Sometimes you're having lunch at 10 a.m., sometimes you're having lunch at 2 p.m., and practice is at 3 p.m. Your body's trying to adjust to all this. You're going to have homework. You're going to have tests. There's going to be additional stressors in your life. We haven't even got to the fact that you've got to go to practice. Now you're going to practice. Yes, you have been running during the summer, but this is going to be more intense because now we're going to start adding in workouts. We're going to be adding in races. With that additional physical stress is going to come greater emotional stress, mindful stress. So we're going to be fatigued even if we tried to run the same way from the schedule, but we're also going to be adjusting how we're running. And we're going to have to adjust how we're running anyway because of the schedule. So I used to tell the athletes, like, listen, you're going to be coming in August, like raring to go, feeling good, feeling strong. And you may be wondering halfway through September, what happened? Why am I always tired? Why are my legs feeling like they weigh like 10,000 pounds of just straight up concrete? That's normal. The same thing happens to adults. And you don't have to have kids to experience this. Like, for instance, when I go to work now, it takes much longer because there's way more people on the road. Because now you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of kids that have to get to school, whether it's buses that are in front of you and they're stopping every block and a half to pick up some kids, or buses going in the opposite direction and stopping, meaning you have to stop. There are more people on the roads, whether it's students taking other students to school or parents taking students to school. So it just takes more time. I'm suddenly having to leave the house 20 minutes earlier than I did 2 weeks ago because of the shifts in traffic. If you have kids, your schedule is going to change dramatically when school starts. And as a result, your body, physically, emotionally, is going to have to deal with that shift. So just be prepared that when the seasons change, you change along with it. Your body is going to have to adapt to the change in temperature, in weather. There are changes that are associated with that. One thing that I noticed as we get deeper into fall is that motivation tends to wane. And the reason why is because we don't see the sun as much. It gets darker earlier. Our motivation and inspiration tends to wane. If you're not prepared for that, then that can be a real problem. If you're trying to get out the door on a consistent basis and go for a run, you may think there's something wrong with you when there's nothing wrong with you. You're just adjusting to what's happening with the seasonal change. So, another thing to think about as we're shifting from summer into fall, or what are some of those changes that you're experiencing to your schedule, to the day, to your responsibilities and obligations? Are your moods changing? And just ask yourself, like a great coach would ask an athlete of theirs, how are you doing? What's going on? Do we need to make adjustments to adjust for the adjustments that you're going through? Just have a good conversation. And I'll tell you what, those honest conversations that demand honest answers will lead to better runs. Okay? So that's another thing. As the seasons change, you change, your schedule change, your responsibilities change, your obligations change, which means other things are going to have to change in order to take advantage of those changes that are occurring. Okay, let's move on. I mean, this is something that I'm going to say in every season, but that's why it's a great, rule, which is let people know that you're running. It's a great habit to form, that when you go for a run, you tell the people in your life that you're going for a run. You tell the people in your life where you're going for a run. You tell the people in your life about how far and how long you're going to be on your run. It's something that I think should be a part of everyone's running schedule. So, before you start a run, who are the people you're going to tell you're running? And again, I'm bringing this up. I know this is associated with better fall running, but I'm going to bring this up again when we get into better winter running. And I'm going to bring it up again for better spring running and better summer running. You need to let us know. So, who are the people in your life? And now this is, for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, that's so tedious. I don't need to tell everybody that I'm going for a run. If you have a friend, okay, think of a friend or a family member that you really, truly care about. Would you feel more comfortable if they went for a run, knowing they went for a run? Or would you feel more comfortable having absolutely, positively, no idea this person just went for a 15K run around the city, in the trails, at the park? You can pick where it's happening. Along the shoreline, it doesn't matter. The point is, wouldn't you be more comfortable knowing that they're going to do this? Just, hey, real quick, just want to drop a line. I'm going for a run. Think about it. I bet if you think about it from the perspective of, would I like to know that someone I really care about is going for a run? Just for safety's sake. I think you'd say, yeah, you'd absolutely like to know. And I bet if I asked you, like, well, would you find that annoying that somebody 3 times a week, 4 times a week texts and says, hey, how you doing? Just wanted somebody to know I'm going for a run. It's probably going to take 45 minutes. I'm going and running at the local park. I should be back soon. I'll text you when I'm back. Great. Boom. 45 minutes later, he drops a text. I'm back. Great run. thanks, cheers. That's it. Would you feel okay with doing that? Would you consider that too much to deal with as a friend or family member? I would hope not. I would say you're probably going to need to spend some time thinking about just how good a friend and valuable a family member you are if that's too much to deal with, is a text every once in a while from the people in your life that are saying, hey, I'm going out for a run. Just wanted somebody to know. So if it's something that you think would be valuable for those people you care about in your lives, you are that person in other people's lives. You are someone that other people care about. So get in the habit of doing it. And you know what happens with so many of these like good little things that are created? Other people then have the confidence to do the same. So as you are sending out to one or two friends, hey, I'm going for a 15K run here, and it's on a new trail. This is where I'm going. Should take me about 90 minutes. I just wanted you to know. I'll text you when I'm done. What's going to happen is these people are going to say, you know what? I feel comfortable doing this as well. So now they're going to tell the people in their life when they're going out and doing runs. And I think that's great. More people knowing that more people are running, just to know, great. It could be motivation, it can be inspiration, but it can also be safety. All right? So let people know when you're going for a run. That could be a new thing they add before your run, just a quick text to a couple of people. And maybe it's just like a little text chain of people like, hey, 3 or 4 people. And you all just use this one chain to say, I'm going. This is where I'm going. This is how long I'm going. I'll text when I'm done. And guess what else happens? Then you can all celebrate each other when it's done. Fantastic. All right. So, leads me to another thing. Share the starting line. It will be a better fall. It will be a better autumn of running if you share the starting line. I told you that as the time we get each day with that sunshine diminishes over the course of the autumn, that inspiration and motivation can wane. So, do you just allow it to go down to 0? No, you can create motivation, you can create inspiration, and you can share both of those things. And you can do that by sharing the starting line. This is a great opportunity to get people to come to a starting line with you. This could be people that are already running, that are going to be going through the same things you're going through. It could be people that have not been getting to the starting line. And a seasonal change is usually enough of an impetus for somebody to take the chance to start again. But often what they need is an invitation. So invite people to run with you. Now, running with you does not mean they have to run next to you. Maybe it means they run next to you for a couple of minutes at the beginning and then you go your separate ways. Maybe it means they meet you for the end of your run. Maybe you just meet at the starting line and that's it. Maybe you find a loop and you run in opposite directions and you just give each other high fives. And I'll tell you what is another thing that's pretty cool that you can do. A lot of times when people meet, whether it's run crews, run clubs, or just friends, they set a distance to do, which is fine. Not a problem. But when you have a large diversity in paces, the best thing to do is to set a time, a duration-based run. Because guess what? You will all share the starting line together. You'll all run at your own paces because you need to own your fitness, right? Yes, the answer is yes. Rhetorical question. I don't even know why I answered it. But here's the cool thing. You'll all finish at the same time. Because 20 minutes run at 5-minute Ks or 8-minute Ks or 10-minute Ks is still a 20-minute run. Doesn't matter what the pace is. It's the duration. You'll all be coming back to the finish line at the same time. And there's a communal celebration that happens at the finish line that is different than the communal celebration at a starting line. They're both awesome, but they're different. So share the starting line with friends, with family, with teammates. Invite people to the starting line with you. You'll have a better fall. You'll have more motivation. You'll have more inspiration. And the cool thing is, you can set runs up where you can celebrate at the start and the finish together regardless of paces, okay? You can set runs up in different ways. Like I said, if someone's only running 20 minutes and you're running 40, you can run 20 minutes before. Or you can meet at the finish at 20 minutes, give some high fives, and then head out on your extra 20 minutes. There's lots of ways you can do it where you can take advantage of the togetherness, which is really an awesome thing. All right? I'm going to bring up another thing about dressing for success. All right, I talked about reflectivity, which is heavy on safety. Now I'm going to talk about the comfortability part. Everything changes here in the Pacific Northwest. All right around Halloween, which is October 31st, it starts to rain. And you've probably heard me talk about it time and time again because it rains more or less nonstop from the end of October to the end of May. It's relentless. It's mean, actually. But that also means you got to change what you're wearing because it doesn't rain from the end of May to Halloween. Like literally, I shouldn't say literally, but it's like almost literally. Like I would say maybe it rains like 5 times. It's just wild. It goes from raining all the time to just never raining, which means you got to dress differently. And for me, the most important purchase I've made in the 10 years that I've been out here has been a water-resistant jacket. That's it. And wherever you're living, there's going to be the equivalent purchase. And I've had this water-resistant jacket now. I've had different ones, but the one I'm wearing now, I've had for 4 years. And I mean, like, that's just the best thing in the world. I know where it is in my closet. It's in the back corner right now because it's not raining yet, but it's ready. It's light, meaning like lightweight because it doesn't get too cold here. And if it does get really cold here, I'll just wear like a layer underneath to stay warm and then put the water-resistant jacket on top of it. But think about where you live. It may get really cold where you are, and you may need a winter jacket. That may be your big purchase. Whatever it is, figure out what it is. And I would seriously consider investing in it. It's an investment in better runs. That water-resistant jacket I wear leads to better runs, period. Every single run that I need to wear it becomes a better run when I wear it as opposed to if I didn't wear it. That is just straight truth. So figure out what is kind of like your best purchase. What is it? You may already have it. Like for me, I don't need another jacket this winter. I'm not getting another jacket this winter. I got it, and I'm going to wear it over and over and over and over again. And it looks and feels and works just like it did 4 years ago. So I don't see me not using it again. You know, I'll tell you this. My best winter jacket will jump ahead. I got in 2014. Yes, I've been wearing it for 11 years in the winter. And I'm going to use it again this winter. So a lot of times those best purchases, like, you know, the outer layer stuff with apparel should last a really long time. A really long time. Be interesting to see how much the jacket cost originally in 2014. Because I bet if you I'm going to geek out here, like amortized it, or just, averaged out the cost over the course of a year. I bet it's like $10 a year, And since I wear it, dozens and dozens and dozens of times in the winter, that purchase was super awesome. But anyway, it's got a hood and it's warm, and this was back in 2014, so it had the thumb holes, so you could kind of make a pocket with the end of the sleeves because the sleeves are a little bit longer. I mean, it was just the whole jacket's just amazing. I'll put a picture up of it in the winter time, but I'm sure if you see any pictures of me running in the fall when it's raining, you're going to see me wearing my jacket. So yes, figure out what that purchase is, and you're going to be just fine. So that's the last apparel thing I'm going to mention. I'm going to just talk about runs real quick because I think when you have a season, and it's going to be different for everybody. Everyone has their weakest season, all right, or the season they struggle in the most, or the one that's hardest for them to get to a starting line. I'll pretend that it's fall for me. It's not fall for me, but I'm going to pretend that it is. As a coach, what you want to do is you want to find those weakest areas, and you want to figure out how you can strengthen them, because it's much easier to strengthen your weakest seasons, just like it is easiest to strengthen your weakest traits, all right? And for me, if the fall was my weakest season, and by that I would mean I'm inconsistent, low on motivation, low on inspiration, I'm not getting in the volume or the intensity, what I would do is I would make it as easy as possible for me to first and foremost become more consistent. A lot of times people do the opposite and they think, well, I'm not going to run as much, so I'm going to try to run more. And I'll tell you what, I think, and I have found that it's easier to do more runs that are not as intense or not as long as less runs that are higher volume with more intensity. So I'll give you an example. If you're thinking, you know what, usually in the summer I run 5 days a week, and the fall gets very, very difficult for me to run like that. So I'm going to run 3 days a week, but I'm going to run higher volume and more intensity to make up for those days I'm not running. Now for me, I'm not going to compare summer to fall. So that's the first difference. I'm comparing fall to fall. So what I would ask all of you to do is, rather than try to figure out how to run as well as summer, try to figure out how you can run better than last fall. So if last fall you're like, oh, well, last fall was terrible. I only ran like 2 days a week and I tried to run, high volume because I wasn't running very much. Okay, why don't we run low volume, like much lower than you did in the summer, but more days? Like if you were averaging 30-minute runs 5 days a week in the summer, could you average 15-minute runs 5 days a week in the fall? Yeah, like, well, 15-minute runs, like that's a joke. That's half of what I was doing. I didn't tell you to compare your runs in the fall to what you're doing in the summer, remember? I want to know if you can run more days this fall than last fall. And I want to know if you think it's achievable to do that by cutting back on the volume, the duration volume. You say, well, yeah, I can run 15-minute runs. I just don't think that's very much because I was running 30 minutes. And it's like, there we go again. You're comparing yourself to summer runner. We're not comparing ourselves to summer runner. We're comparing ourselves to the autumn runner. And I'll tell you what, if you can improve your autumn compared to your past autumn, and you can improve your winter running compared to your previous winter running, and if you can improve your spring running relative to your previous spring running, when we get back to that summer runner, you're going to be a better version at the start of the summer than you were last summer. Isn't that the goal? Yes, it is. So I want you to think long and hard about your previous autumn running experience. And I want you to find the weaknesses. I want you to find the holes. I want you to find the areas of opportunity. That's what I want you to focus on. That's where I want you to say, okay, from a coaching point of view, how do I improve? It doesn't have to be dramatic improvement. Remember, a little improvement consistently over time becomes dramatic improvement. So look at your previous fall, find those opportunities, and take advantage of them. That would be my last tip to help you have a better fall of running. All right, and there we go. Episode 118, right? Still don't know the title of the episode, but 118. So thank you for listening. I hope this helps your next fall, autumn of running. And whether this is technically like your fall or your summer or your winter right now, a lot of these things you can actually adjust for any season. I'm just bringing it up now because in the Pacific Northwest, baby, we are heading into fall really quickly. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast, whether that's as a follower, subscriber, as someone who's rated it or reviewed it. Thank you so much. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep taking care of each other. Remember, this is about running, but this is not about running. And I'll meet you on that next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.